Ladies, gentlemen, and Elysians of all ages, welcome to Echoes of Elysium, a co-op airship survival adventure RPG where you build your own airship, sail the skies, fly around on a thruster-powered glider to collect resources and then craft it all together. Thanks to Loric Games for sponsoring this video and giving us a very early look at the game. I've been able to play it before its release, and so I'll be telling you all of my thoughts on it after a number of hours of gameplay from how the game was a couple of months back. It is not released as of yet, but they're working hard on adding more features and content, so even this is only a very early representation of what this game will be like when you can actually play it for yourselves. And if you are interested, you can use the link below the video to wishlist the game on Steam right now. Echoes of Elysium can be played with up to 6 people together. You can all work on the same ship at the same time like a merry band of sky pirates sailing the mile-high seas. Having experienced it all solo, I can definitely say that I think this will thrive on the multiplayer experience for it for sure. The idea of all being able to work together on the same airship, one person manning the helm, the others just building, organizing, crafting, or even just being ready on the weapons as well. Even just as far as resource gathering, when you destroy larger resource nodes, you get these extra large nodes that you have to carry around and cart to a grinder to then break down into a large amount of normal materials. You can only carry one of these larger nodes at a time, so in solo you have to do multiple trips, but with a group you could each just grab a separate resource clump and then all go in a nice orderly queue to the grinder. That said, this game, at least at this point right now, because it's worth noting again that this is the very beginning of early access. It is very early on, and it is very much about the exploration and building aspects at the immediate moment. Combat is relatively limited at this stage. It's very simple, basic stuff. On foot, it's just attacking and blocking. There are weapons that you can craft, and then it's mostly just about the movement that you have past that. On ships, you've got harpoons and cannons with various craftable ammo, but the ship combat I encountered was pretty limited so far, at least as far as the ships that you're fighting. While having turrets, they just didn't shoot back at me and just sort of let me break them down and pillage the goods, and after, of course, a glorious explosion of fireworks that celebrated my overwhelming victory. The world itself is procedurally generated. There are seeds when you create your world that decide the layout of pretty much everything, so you can even share your seeds with other players even when you're playing solo, just so you can experience the same world separately in your own ways, which is also a pretty cool option to way to play the game too. That also then adds an eventual aspect of replayability, of course, because it's procedurally generated. You can start from a fresh save where the world could be completely different than your previous world. The biggest aspect I think that people will really dig into, as of the immediate moment at least, is probably the ship building itself. You can craft various kinds of pieces of hull. There are upgrades that you can get to use cooler looking and stronger materials than just my basic wood here, but I can't afford those quite yet to the scale that I want to be building at. You start off with this tiny little boat, and then you're advised that you should build a bigger, stronger, and better ship, so I upgraded to the Beetle Barge, my fully enclosed tank of a ship that I absolutely adored. But eventually I needed more space to fit all of my crafting stations and my storage, so I expanded the ship outwards, and then I wanted to move faster, so I needed more room for sails, so I expanded upwards, and then I unlocked engines and proper fuel-powered thrusters, so I expanded again to make space for these things, and at that point my ship's wheel felt too contained and low down, so now the Beetle Barge is this absolutely wild, massive creation with like a scorpion tail on the top, and I just love how free this building system seems to be. The number of actual building pieces isn't crazy, at least not yet, but the freedom of where and how you place them, the size of your ship, the shape of it, that's all entirely up to you, as long as you stay within the limits of weight relative to your thrusting power. You can repair your ship relatively easily if it gets damaged, as you receive all the materials back if that happens. You just need to actively interact with the piece of the ship to then fix it. Though that can be a little bit finicky currently, but again, this isn't even out in early access yet. There is a lot of polish and quality of life that I think the game does need added before it's fully ready to go, but we're at a very early stage of the process of the game's creation, so I do really hope that they can sort some of this stuff out. Because right now, to me, it feels like a blend of Sea of Thieves and Raft, the sort of slow burn exploration, slow movement through a large world, find islands, explore them, combat with other ships, but it's all up in the air. Literally, you are riding on and building your airship that sails the high seas, the very, very high seas, rather than sailing the sea down on the earth itself, and framing it using Elysium as the world, which is a part of the concept of the afterlife in ancient Greece and Greek mythology, where Elysium is the paradise occupied by those who are chosen by the gods, who achieved heroic deeds in life, and who are righteous as well. Essentially, something that works perfectly as a world to represent, floating up among the clouds. On that note, some other things that I enjoyed while playing are the general player movement. Obviously a massive part of it all is the ships and the airship, the sailing through the skies, but for smaller scale, more precise movement, you have a glider that's powered by thrusters that you control. and I think the actual finesse of this system could use a little bit of polish and improvement. The diving motion can sometimes just like remove all forward momentum when you stop, but once you start to get the hang of it and the controls, you can just sort of fly around the place quite quickly, with the only thing limiting you being your stamina bar, so you do have to land occasionally. And there are lots of resources that you can collect up in the air by gliding through them, and just flying around in the skies picking up all the floating debris is honestly such a surprisingly soothing experience, and I love that that is a very large part of the resource gathering in Echoes of Elysium. Aside from that, the main other way of gathering resources is on land, on islands. There are set gathering points like big rocks you can break down to smaller rocks, same for trees. Lithium, which is the sort of crystal resource used to explain how everything floats effortlessly in the skies in this world. These larger nodes often break down into the material chunks that I mentioned earlier that you can then take to a grinder and break down into a load of the base material itself. But it does take quite a while to gather resources in meaningful amounts while playing solo. But of course, with the ability to play with up to 6 players, you can speed that up a fairly large amount. Aside from building up your ship, then the other things that these resources are used for is, of course, crafting, and you will be doing a lot of that in this game. I think my main current criticism of the survival side of this game is the early game crafting systems. It works great in most aspects, but there is no early option to craft in bulk. Like if I want 60 stone ammo for my cannon, I have to craft that stone round 60 times in a row to do that. As well, the actual craft interface has you click and hold the button to craft an item, so these things put together just make the actual crafting of anything I need a large amount of feel unnecessarily slow. Though I have been told that there are fixes to this that are already in the game, but you just need to unlock them through specific crafting that I hadn't done. Aside from that, the exploration side of the game is lovely. The world is absolutely beautiful from the top down, and when I say that, I really do mean the top down, because there's so much verticality to it too. There's islands above other islands, under other islands, in the clouds themselves, and I really do love the art style of the game too. It still could use some polish on animations and stuff like that, of course, but when you're just sailing through the clouds on your own personal custom designed flying fortress and the sun breaches through the clouds in front of you, it's just this moment of like pure awe. Flying into a cloud and just being blinded because of it as you go through, only seeing the silhouettes of things in front of you so you can avoid them, it's all just really neat concepts, and it's really fun to just sail through this world. The next thing to point out though is that the game feels a little bit underpopulated at the moment. Most islands larger than a floating building will have a small encampment of the clockwork mechanical enemies on them with some resources and occasionally items that you can bring back for meaningful longer term enhancements. But there are only a few enemy types that I encountered in my time playing the game so far. As well, while the islands themselves and their placements are definitely procedurally generated, a lot of the actual structures are just copies of the same model placed around the world in different places. So while I really enjoy the exploration, it feels like it is missing that proper punch to it, that really exciting moment of finding something absolutely wacky and crazy that you just have to investigate because you saw it and thought it looked cool. But again, I am playing a very early version of this game, and so I have high hopes that they will add this type of stuff as it gets built up even further. The game, as it stands, has a really strong foundation, really good bones. I love the concept, I love the visuals, I love the movement, both in the airship itself and when moving around with the glider and stuff too. It's awesome, and the actual shipbuilding mechanics feel really good to me too. So I think over the course of development, if they add quality of life features, if they add more enemies, more structures around the game world, more options of parts to add to your airship, more like actual findable fun exploration rewards too, things along those lines, and then just polish up what's already there, I think this game has a ton of potential. To me, it feels like the developers put a lot of time into making sure the most important aspects feel good from the jump. The shipbuilding, the movement, and the actual feeling of sailing through the skies. All of that is really solid, and so if they can bring the other aspects of this up to the standard of that, this game will be incredible come eventual launch. That just about does it for today then, everyone. Again, we have a link below the video that you can click on to wishlist this game for when it releases, if you want to try these things out for yourself and join me in watching this genuinely intriguing game become more and more complete over time and metamorphose into the beautiful butterfly that I can see in its future. I hope you've all enjoyed this, and best of luck on your journeys through Elysium. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet. Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.